Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Punch Up Pod with Lila and Pat. Happy Wednesday.
Cheers,
Thank you for
cheers.
being here. Yes, cheers. Drinking my vodka diet tonic, although I do see a few people in the chat say that they are abstaining from the alcohol this week and switching over to
You're a better
weed.
man or woman or whatever than I am.
Yeah. Well, then both of us.
Yeah.
I wish that were my drug. I mean, I'm fine with it, but it's not, doesn't get me where I'm going in the way I want to travel.
Yeah. Are we talking about the marijuana?
Yeah, it just
I
doesn't
used
do
to
it.
smoke regularly and then I hit like, I don't know, 40 or so. And it just, every time I would sort of have a mini little panic attack.
Yeah,
And I went like a year just trying to ignore it. Like, no, I'm not.
push
No,
through
I'm
it.
not. But every single time for like a good year. And then finally I quit. And
Yeah, it just doesn't make me feel the way I want
yeah.
to feel. Except
I,
at night when I take my gummy.
Well, I was going to say, I think we're both feds. We know that now. That's the new talk. Is if you're a master, you're a fed, and saying no to weed is also very fed like.
Yeah,
So,
I'm very fed like.
and
No,
I'm
I mean, I
like,
totally, yeah.
over 50 wearing a ball cap. That's also another sign of a fed.
You are so, hello, fellow kids. That's you. That's
Yes.
totally you. Yeah, I know. At the beginning of COVID, my kids were well, my older one was already definitely, smoking and edibles are crazy because it's like a candy store. It's crazy. But when my younger one started, like he said something about smoking with friends, and I was like, it's COVID. Do not share a joint. I will get everybody his own joint. Do not pass that around. Yeah, I don't have any problem with any of it. I wish, I wish I liked the weed a little more. It would save me a lot of
It's
calories.
yeah, it's way better for you. Like I absolutely am a strong proponent of marijuana.
Yeah.
It's safer. Like I don't. One of the comedians, his joke was always that you know, you get high and you may want to go rob a liquor store or rob a bank, but you're not going to do it. You're just, it's such a happy, like people don't get mad. Alcohol just, it numbs your brain collectively
Yeah.
all across the board, makes you dumber. But that's why we have a show with alcohol.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I feel like I have a better sense of who I am when I'm drinking too much. And then I'll watch the tape back and be like, oh God, definitely I didn't, but it just feels more like, my deal. Thanks, Kimmy. That's what I was looking for. I'm a good mom. I'm a cool mom.
Yep. And her kids are 7 and 9.
Yeah. No, although when they were around that age, like probably whatever, 6 and 9, they would do races to see who could open up a bottle of wine faster for me before I found my
It's
screw
good
top.
training.
Yeah.
Good training.
And my younger one actually was even faster than my older one at that point. Crazy. How are you?
I'm good. I got nothing interesting to report. I mean, I could talk about work or I could talk about my cats, and I don't think that's.
What's the pee situation and puke situation?
Well, I have a tally this week. I'm keeping track.
Yeah.
So the little one, the kitten, has peed on my couch 3 times.
This week?
Went from being great, and then this week all of a sudden is back to peeing on her. And my adult, big old male cat, Pablo, formerly when he was Peter Douche's cat, what was he? The gay rescue cat of color or something like that? I forget. When I was trying to make him the anti-woke cat. Crapped on my bed twice. Like they're out to get me this week. It's not fun around here. I'm just spray bottling the whole world.
Oh, okay. That's good. Because I know for a while you were a little hesitant to do the spray bottle.
Well, no, I'm cleaning. I'm not like squirting them. I can't catch them in the act because the
You
little
told me
one.
they squat over you.
Yeah, but I'm asleep. I'm sleeping on the couch, and I'm
got
like,
it.
"Hey, what is that? Why am I warm?" That's
Oh my
the little
God.
kitten. Yeah, it's awful. But there we go.
Do you wait? Sorry, but this is a good idea. We should probably do something like some kind of token appreciation for people who are doing the weed.
We could change the wedge on the shot to also have a little green leaf or something.
Yeah, yes, that's a good idea. They should both be. Okay, wait.
Something.
You need to sleep with the spray bottle by your bed.
And then just get up real quick.
Yeah,
Get 'em
I mean,
when it
don't you
happens.
get up pretty fast when you start
Oh,
feeling yourself wet
look,
and warm?
I love my cats and all. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But my first reaction is a quick little toss. Like the little one just gets tossed when I,
While it's on you, or it's
yeah,
okay.
and then it's just pee. It's just like,
Oh my God, Pat.
yeah, it's a
Thank you.
mess.
That was I made a pun because I said a little token, a toke,
I missed it.
and yeah, you missed it.
Well, I wasn't listening.
You
You
don't
were good.
listen to me. I think that the problem is that now if you throw her off the bed, she probably thinks you're playing with her. It's like a
This
game.
is fun. No,
Yeah.
she knows she's not
Wee!
supposed to.
I'm gonna go on a ride again.
You might be right. I don't know.
I don't know. I just feel like we got to come up with a solution. Because
I'm trying.
my concern is that you're like, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. And then all of a sudden you're gonna be like, F this, they're both out and done. Like, I feel like it'd be better to kind of like deal with it.
Yeah. Believe me, I'm trying stuff and I've read what you're supposed to do, and there is no real solution. I mean, I'm going to change the litter to a different litter type and see if maybe I can
Is
make
there like
the
a
litter box just
psychologist
so
you could bring them to?
attractive. Right. I'm
Yeah.
bringing a cat
Cat shrink?
chiropractor. I don't know. What do we need?
Oh, maybe acupuncture.
No. Yeah. None of that
Yeah.
horse shit works.
Yeah.
Sorry. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't have a fix. Anyway.
All right.
Thought I'd
I'm
share,
sorry though.
since you asked.
Yeah, that's there's a lot going on there. Yes, that's actually a really good idea. Is our cat whisperer?
There probably is. I
Or
know there
missed
are
it.
these cat people on. I mean, anything. There's an expert trying to sell you a book or something, you know. So maybe I should find something. But see, I'm very well versed in dog training. Like I know all the dog stuff that you're supposed to do. It just none of that shit works with cats. Sorry, it just doesn't.
Yeah, my in-laws, they had one cat that would squat over. They had 4 cats at the time, and one of them would squat over the toilet to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's not a training. It's not that she doesn't know where to go. It's related to this cat friction. It's like a marking thing, even though
Right.
she's fixed and all that.
Yeah.
But it is related because sometimes I'll let the other cat out, and then she goes. That's when she will also once in a while just go right for the couch and do her little thing. So, yeah.
All right. Well, I am
TMI.
sorry. No, I just feel so bad because this just feels like something that shouldn't continue happening.
Right.
It's very frustrating.
I'm just here to set up your good week. Tell me something good. Tell me
No,
something good.
nothing really good. This is one of the highlights. Tomorrow is Josh's birthday, so I've planned pretty much nothing. We have another baseball game, so we'll be on a late baseball field with our special sippy cups celebrating his birthday.
Hey, that's all right. Happy birthday,
yeah.
Josh. Love you, man.
Yeah.
Josh, your husband, is a great dude. Great dude.
Thank you. He's all right. Every year above ground. It's better than the alternative, right?
Have you seen the other? He is the Leslie Hitler of her life. Glad. Hope Josh is not watching.
98%.
98%, as we like to say.
Yeah, that's kind of it. We want to thank our new members. You guys are awesome and keep adding to the ranks. And we are so amazingly, incredibly grateful to all of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Really appreciate your support so much. Like, seriously, it's amazing. We also, I know this is Pat's favorite part, want to remind everybody, please, to like and subscribe and smash that notification bell. I know we keep threatening it, but we are getting much closer to adding our second show of the week. So please do.
Yeah, we have lots of interviews already lined up. Not specific dates, but we have a list, and half of the people have already said yes, we'll come on the show. So the second show is going to be more interview focused, and we haven't figured out exactly how loose and light and what we're going to do to keep it not too heavy and dramatic. But it'll be another show coming very, very soon.
Yeah, I'm excited. We have some really good people lined up. All right, I don't know. Should we just start off with our cheers and
who's our cheers to? I forgot this week. It's
this week it is Climate Defiance.
Oh yeah.
Reminding Senator Joe Manchin how much he is loved and adored as only climate defiance can do. So here they are confronting Senator Joe Manchin, not on his yacht.
Joe Manchin sold our futures and you've gotten rich doing it. You sick fuck. How dare you? You sold our futures.
I don't want to sit down somewhere and talk.
I'm not going to sit down. You've received more funding than any other senator.
You made millions out of your position. You drive a Maserati.
Valley Pipeline goes right through West Virginia, which are your constituents.
These people came here.
Support this pipeline?
The pipeline they should support because it has energy going to.
Not your futures, not your profits. The Valley Pipeline will eventually be one of the many pipelines that will not get to everybody.
Decide for yourself.
We'll get back on track here, guys.
Protect our futures, not your profits. Protect our futures, not your profits. Protect our futures, not your profits.
Here, here. Amen.
You sick fuck. I love that. Yeah. Cheers to climate defiance. They're really doing great work. They are, tireless. Then they're all over the country, and it's exciting to see not one of these ghouls should
Right.
be able to show his or her face in public ever. No peace.
Yeah, and
yeah.
I just want to say that every week there are tons of clips we can pull for this stuff because there's so much direct action as far as interrupting these guys and giving them no peace that it's amazing. And kudos to Climate Defiance. I mean, they have sort of given Biden props at one or two times for some
his
for meeting with them, putting them on a board or something. But at the end of the day, they are getting in these people's faces every damn day almost.
Yep.
All across the country. So that's
it's fantastic.
More than it's awesome. So
it's such a weird. Did I do that?
That's my
cheers. I was like, what? Did I push a button?
I added the clapping audience to end the cheers section with. Not to cut you off. It was like, keep it moving, Lila. Keep it moving.
Apparently. Damn. It's like getting the hook. The hook. You gave me the hook. Yes. Cheers to climate defiance. All direct action and not giving these people a peace.
They're killing it. Good.
They are killing it.
You sick fuck. I love that line.
I know.
Let's get more of that.
Did you see how Joe Manchin gets up in his face?
Yeah, and then the lobbyist guy manhandles him.
Of course.
Manhandled the climate defiance person. And I hope they get sued. I mean, sure they're not hurt, but you need to make these people pay. And it'll draw more attention to it when you sue them. So
absolutely. And we're not showing the video. There's been so many protests. I mean, we'll get to some of them, but I don't think we're showing the video of the protesters at the I love saying it, Dr. Jill Biden giving a talk. I think it was in Virginia. I don't remember where. It might not have been, but anyway. And it's a young woman, and she is
she got
roughly manhandled by 4 different old coots who just pull her, try to yank her down. It's disgusting.
And you know what? That would not happen if it was a man.
No.
Which, you're not going to. Let me tell you, nobody's going to grab my arm and fucking pull me back like that at all. I mean, when I was a casino dealer once upon a time, and somebody reached across and grabbed my arm, and I was like, I'm going to meet you in the parking lot if you do that again and beat the shit out of you. I just said it to him. But I don't know why I'm sharing that, but you're not going to do that to a guy. This is an old man who feels entitled. They're all just in their righteous vote blue no matter who shit. And how dare you interrupt the first lady,
I know. It's so, and then there was another one. Oh, shoot. I don't think we're showing the other one either. Darn it. There's so many. I mean, we could have had just the whole show. Maybe we should do that sometime and just do a cheers, one after another. And it's all of these older people, just yelling at them. Where was it? It was another, protesting the genocide. And just they're putting their hands over their ears and just being no. It's like a toddler not wanting to hear. It's so embarrassing.
It's so common now that they're trained to yell 4 more years.
Oh my God, I know.
They start chanting 4 more years. If it's any liberal, a Biden event for sure.
Totally. Yeah.
Although Biden's completely controlling it. They're not. The audience is. You're not getting in if you're one of these climate defiance people.
Yeah,
it's going to be really hard.
Yep. I mean, yeah,
But
they're
because of that, they're also avoiding all the appearances he needs to make to actually win.
his base.
He has to go
avoiding
out
his
and
base.
campaign, but he's not going to campaign basically.
He's looking for the
because-
Nikki Haley, the remnants from the Nikki Haley campaign. That's what he's after right now.
Ugh.
They're just after the Lincoln Project. The Democratic Party has become the Lincoln Project, the
They
party
are.
of the Lincoln Project. That's all they care about right now.
100%.
Unbelievable. Okay, is that like, did we do the, did we
Yeah,
just
we
start?
knocked our cheers out. Cheers again to them. Let's get the show started. What do you think? Should I play
Let's get started.
Daniel had a good point though. Where was it? Where was it? Oh, play her off, Pat. There we go. He
Oh.
gets it. Daniel gets it.
Thanks, Daniel and my
Wait,
one.
what
Really
was that?
appreciate that.
I can't hear you over the.
Oh my God,
property.
he's gonna mute me. All right, let's hash it out.
Hashing it out. Let's go.
Oh, did you put the wheel up?
Yeah.
Oh my God, Pat.
No, I didn't. No, our producer did.
Okay, so just so everybody knows, we are having major issues with StreamYard. It is not issues on our own private ends.
Yeah.
And then they're manifesting in different ways. As we know, I get frozen once a show, and Pat has been lagging. So we realized today that Pat was lagging as soon as he starts sharing the wheel. So now I'm in charge of the wheel, but you just can't help yourself, can you?
Old habits die hard. And we're not even supposed to be on the wheel yet. We're supposed to show our worst of the week.
No, you're right though, and I'm glad you reminded me. As our new format, this is what happens when we're both wearing all the hats. We are, because that's how we're starting to send us off into a good space. We do the cheers, right?
Yeah.
Is that not
cheers.
what we're doing? And then we
Cheers.
just have a little fun.
Okay, let's do a little something fun.
Let's do a little something fun. Let's just get it. Let's get it going.
Little fun is a treat.
All right, a little treat. Look at me handling stuff. Come on. Could not have asked for a better way for my inaugural position as the person in charge of
You're
the
moving
wheel.
on up.
Yeah, moving on up. And now do I just remove it?
If you just hit close, it auto removes that segment.
I know, but I have
We're
to
on
like.
autopilot now.
All right, look at that.
Let me
And now
mansplain
it's
it to you.
Back to this. All right, cheers. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers to my parents who have a lot of lemons, and they made me some limoncello shots. I have a whole jug of it.
I would love for you to share some of that with your lovely co-host.
It's delicious, but they drink a
Alas.
lot, so it's like it's the most toxic vodka drink you probably could have.
That sounds like my speed. That's exactly where I live.
That's true.
All right. So now we're going to worst of the week, right?
No. I mean, we can't just have
We're
a
gonna do
shot. We
another-
have to show them something.
All right.
Yeah, that's. I
All
think that's our game
Here we
plan
go.
here.
All right.
Yeah, baby.
Let's do shots.
Okay, but here's the problem. Because of the way you did it, it's gonna now remove the shots, and then we only have a couple left. So we're definitely gonna
there's-
call
There's
the
some kinks
audibles.
there. Yeah, but we got
Yeah.
that audible button.
We
can
got the
just push.
audibles. We're all about the audibles.
Cheers.
All right.
And we'll
This
just
is
show
my-
puppets. Well,
right.
but no, if it doesn't land on it, it doesn't remove it. So we have to spin the wheel.
Oh my God, there's so
Work
many
in
rules.
progress.
Yeah. All right. One sec.
Good stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, baby.
There we go. We got it.
There we go. We're gonna start. All right.
That's
loud. That's pretty loud. Okay.
That's a bit much.
All right. We're getting
I got
there.
it.
I'm going here. What do we got for puppets?
This is the most election of our lifetime.
I better not start the questions. I'll get in trouble.
What's your message for Super Tuesday voters? Everyone please move this way. Super Tuesday, Sam, do you have a message for voters? Thanks, come on.
Thank you so much. Thank you all.
For some reason, I thought we had landed on puppets. Good thing that you're watching my back. It's my 3 shots that I've had now in less than 20 minutes, fewer than 20 minutes.
Yeah, so I don't know what to say about that other than like obviously the optics aren't good. I mean, you can see him struggling to breathe and think.
I
and
mean,
everything there.
Yeah.
And I shouldn't take questions or I'm going to get in trouble. You're running for president and you're going to tell the audience in front of you that you're not allowed to take, because obviously his crew said, don't take questions. It has to be handled and manipulated.
I mean, that is scary. And as we know, it's not going unnoticed. Oops, I just spilled all over my little bar next to me, my bar. Not going unnoticed by the rest of the world or anybody in this country. It's horrifying to see. And it must be honestly not, I mean, I have no sympathy for that man. I think he is just a repugnant pig monster, and he has been his whole career. He's disgusting. But that must be so scary because he's obviously just sitting there and doesn't know what he should be saying. And I mean, the thing is he did that in 2019. Do you remember every single debate? He'd start and be like, oh, no, I shouldn't say anymore. That's enough. That's enough. Like, he kept doing that. And then they hopped him up on drugs for that one.
For the debate against Bernie.
With Bernie. Right. The one time he actually sounded kind of coherent.
But he had cover in 2020 to not campaign because of COVID, right?
Right.
That was his cover. Now he's giving up free time at the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Because they can't ensure that he's got to have 15 good minutes.
Yeah, with a softball interviewer. It's crazy. Yeah. I mean, that is just really sad, but we will definitely get to that. Yeah.
Yeah.
What? Did you want to keep talking? I'm going to play you off.
Oh, I'm adding an actual hook graphic next week.
All right. We're starting with worst of the week. But before we get to it, I know.
And I touched it. There you go. That one was actually rude. My bad.
It's Pat's show. I'm just here for the ride. Am I interrupting your whole deal? Do you want to?
I want to show some cat videos, and here you are talking politics and
okay.
Annoying stuff.
Worst of the week this week, and I know we have profiled this person before. My former classmate when I was in college.
I forget that.
Yeah, the former COVID communications czar, Ashish Jha, who, with the new disgusting guidelines that have just been released by the CDC, which is basically get back to work and COVID is just the flu now.
Right. If your fever symptoms have subsided after a day, you should go to work. That's the CDC advice.
Yeah. Which it's never been about that. I mean, at the very beginning, they would do people like if you had fever, but we've known for 4 years now that people are contagious before they show symptoms. They're contagious when they feel better. They're contagious definitely almost always for the first 10 days.
At least 50% of transmission is from asymptomatic people. So
without a fever,
putting the fever out front and forward on the fact that you're not transmitting COVID somehow is absurd. It's just
follow the science, Pat.
Not true at all.
Yeah. Yeah. So a few high profile epidemiologists, doctors, COVID specialists immediately started posting about how disgraceful this is. I think Judy Stone wrote something in, oh gosh, does she write for Fortune? But, lots of high profile people came out to talk about that this isn't following the science and more people are going to get infected, sick, die. Hospitals are going to be overrun. Like, this is not good. And this is Ashish Jha's post to try to calm it down. The Infectious Disease Doctors of America agree. Lie. The change in the CDC guidance on COVID isolation makes sense. Lie too. Now you can choose to Oh, he didn't even proofread his own stupid tweet. Now you can choose to listen to some random anonymous dude on Twitter who disagrees, or you can listen to the infectious disease experts. I'm with the experts, folks. And so he's quote tweeting here the IDSA, thinking of prevention is something we do for all respiratory viruses, provides a simpler way for everyone to stay healthy. IDSA supports CDC Gov's guidance on preventing respiratory virus spread. That's the expert.
And the whole premise is that, look, he's quoting this organization that, oh, well, these are the
experts.
These are the experts. This group right here. I'm going to listen to them, not some random dude on the internet. But
tell me about the IDSA.
Yeah, the IDSA is
run by Carlos Del Rio. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
No, you're a reader. I'm a thinker.
This is why I'll be getting the hook next week. So this was pointed out by Don't Inhale Virus down below, and Dr. Wow, lots of shots. Dr. Lucky Tran, a former White House COVID chief, Ashish Jha, says ignore experts critical of the weakened CDC guidelines and trust the ISDA. But Delta's former medical advisor, who wrote a letter that led to the CDC weakening their original guidelines, was also president of the ISDA. So clearly it is all just a capitalist endeavor to get everybody back to work. That's the whole deal. Carlos Del Rio helped with the very first bit that initially lowered the isolation period from 10 days down to 5.
Right. And I think people remember, but just to remind you, the 5-day isolation came out of Delta Airlines' request to lower it to 5 days. It wasn't based on any science at all at the time.
It's just the CEO of Delta.
We knew about transmission rates then. We knew about asymptomatic spread. We knew all that stuff was, the scientists knew all of it then.
Yep.
And so the Delta guy goes and becomes the president of this group that is now advising everybody on what's good and bad for COVID transmission.
This is how, I mean, and we're going to see it in Israel. I mean, we see it in every single segment because it's all just media, corporate media, sort of laundering what they want to disseminate by creating a new board, a new task force.
Right.
And they just are putting out the exact same thing, but now it comes with the imprimatur of, oh, it's the IDSA or whatever that is. That
from IDSA to Jha to then it becomes the New York Times quoting Jha and then quoting separately the IDSA. And although it's all one source, it's all one source for all this. And meanwhile, you got all the scientists actually informed on this stuff, screaming the entire time, this is bullshit, this is not how it should work. But our government capture by corporations is just as clear as all day. And if leftists would actually wake the fuck up, everyone on the left would agree with that. I mean, most people would. But because it's such a vacuum, we're giving this guy a pass on COVID policies that are killing and disabling millions of people.
Yeah.
Here's Jha at the time of the Delta transmission, when they changed from 10 days to 5 days.
Before today's CDC announcement, and again, this is how it's like this circular sort of like pinballing to each other, right? Before today's CDC announcement, I wrote out why 10-day isolation is too long. It harms public health to isolate people unnecessarily. Evidence suggests 5-day isolation and negative test is ideal. Never shows that evidence because it doesn't exist, unless you're talking about for, getting the economy back up and running, which, by the way, it's not even good for that because so many pilots are out sick. And then remember all those like planes that almost started crashing because air traffic controllers were either out sick or still suffering from brain fog. 5-day isolation and 5-day masking, reasonable too. CDC's decision is the right one. He definitely earns his pay. There is no one who has licked a boot harder than Ashish Jha. Truly.
And at that time, everybody screamed, this is not right. This is not science. 10 was conservative. 10 days is conservative. I mean, they look at the average transmission, how often they're trying to get a medium of like, look, a lot of people are safe at 10 days, right? That's kind of the thing. Oh, a lot of people are safe. But at a 5-day isolation, a lot of people are not safe. Most people are still transmitting COVID. At a high rate. So,
yeah.
but anyway, that's the 5 days. Let's go look at what he actually thinks about COVID before they got into
His
the political
bank account.
czar of COVID
yeah.
and corporate capture.
Science. What would ideal COVID isolation guidance be once rapid antigen tests are cheap and ubiquitous?
That never happened.
No. Isolate. And by the way, they're now, I think on the 8th is when the government will stop giving out free tests. Yeah. And I tried to do it again. The last time that came out was like 6 months ago or something. Our household of 4 people, we got our 4 tests. Yeah. And they went, so now it's 6 months later, they wouldn't give it again. And they're expensive, if you can find them. They're like,
yeah. So,
yeah.
I mean, look, if you're following what he says here, okay, you get COVID, you isolate for 5 days and then test daily. 4 days later, most people are not clear of COVID.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
But
I mean,
if it takes 4 days and finally you're on your 4th day and you're clear of COVID, sorry, your family's out of tests. You're out of tests.
Just see if you have a fever now. Do you have a thermometer?
And so what does that mean going forward? That means next time you get sort of sick, you're like, I don't have the test. So
yeah, I don't really have a fever. Put a washcloth on your head and keep on moving.
It's not COVID. I know it's not COVID. That's what people are
it's everybody's saying it's and also like the rapid antigen tests now are not even current. Most of them have expired. They tell you on that website, like, don't worry if it says expired, they're fine. They're not, I don't think, keeping up with the JN1. Now they're telling you, as we all know, like the back of your throat, your cheek, the inner cheek, then your nose. Some people are dipping it in their stool, which is not what those tests were created for. I mean, like we are truly out here on our own.
Yeah. I mean, look, you should swab your throat and nose, or I don't know. Somebody put in the comments what you should do.
Yeah.
I believe you should still do both of those. I don't think you want to start swabbing your feces probably, but whatever. Regardless of that, we know that probably the throat and nose are going to pick it up, right? And as they should, but these are old tests. They're not in the test guidelines to do that stuff. So you have to be informed to even know how to use the test better.
Yep.
Than, and you have to research and find that stuff.
Yeah.
And if you go online and try to research this stuff, you're going to hit, before you find the solution, you're going to hit all this
CDC
anti-vax stuff. You're going to hit layers of like bogus information,
including the CDC, right? I mean, that's what's going to happen. So now it's just, it's the Jimmy Dore Brigade and the Brownstone Institute and the CDC and Trump and Biden are all on the same.
Sorry.
I'm kind of laugh if she pees on you right now. Would you tell us or would you just sit there?
I would just sit here with a sad face. Like, what was that movie with Steve Martin when he peed at the table and it's like, I need to use the bathroom?
Not dirty old bastard. No, not dirty old bastard.
Rotten Scoundrels.
Dirty rotten scoundrels.
Yes,
yeah.
Yes. I'll give you that face.
All right. So this is this is recent. How long are you contagious with COVID? Most people are infectious for 10 days. 80% of people test positive for 5 days after symptom onset. Only 30% of people who test positive have a fever. Presence of symptoms is an unreliable indicator of infectiousness. Individuals can be infectious before the onset of symptoms. Asymptomatic cases represent around, now I thought it was higher than that, but they keep changing that, around 20 to 40% of all infections. So this new guide
map. I can't do sorry, I cut you off again. Normally I want to put the clapping on to make it clear. I'm going to cut you off. Sorry about that. So what I was saying, I don't even know what I was. Okay, quick math. I don't know.
Let's just move
but
on.
If 80% of the people are contagious after 5 days, you're sending one in how many people into work? So of all the people that are going into work with their fever gone after 1 day,
right,
you're probably only preventing one person out of 10 from spreading COVID.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know about your math, but you're not preventing enough. And because nobody is,
sorry,
just keep talking. Yeah, any number, 99%.
76.
And nobody's wearing masks. So not that, they're not 100% foolproof. And if you don't have the right mask and if it's not fit tested and all that kind of stuff, but like, I just assume that everybody has
Right.
COVID. So I always wear a mask indoors, but nobody's wearing masks anymore.
Right. But the guidelines to go back to work don't even say, and wear a mask for 10 days or something. Like, can you not put in that? Like, just,
Well,
hey,
you
if
don't
you
want that
absolutely
scarlet
have to
letter.
get to work, if you absolutely have to go to work sick and we don't know, 10 days of masking or something, you know, like that's going to cover some of this a little bit.
Yeah.
It's going to help some people.
Yeah, no, it's really disgusting. And so this was from a couple of weeks ago. The Washington Post started talking about the fact that the CDC was going to change its guidelines. And in that article, the plan to further loosen isolation guidance when the science around infectiousness has not changed is likely to prompt strong negative reaction from vulnerable groups. We're all vulnerable groups. If you could get COVID, you're a vulnerable group, including people older than 65, those with weak immune systems, and long COVID patients. So the CDC they know that the science hasn't changed. It's just the desperation from, the capitalist brigade to get everybody back to work, get the kids back to school, get the parents back to work, get everybody back to working in the office, all that kind of stuff. Nothing changed with the science.
Nothing changed, and they blocked. So part of changing their guidelines, the policy always includes public comment before they change the policies. So when they say they're not talking about blocking people's voices on Twitter or something.
Right.
They're talking about scientific community being able to speak up about this stuff. But they did also block on Twitter. I mean, on Twitter, they took valid, legitimate scientists and hid their replies. And if you go to the CDC's tweets or Mandy Cohen, who's the director of the CDC, and you hit show hidden replies, you will see, there's some offensive ones they hid. If you want to have a reason to, fuck you, Mandy Cohen. Yeah, I get that. But, oh, hey, Mandy, look at this study. Why are we doing this? Something like that. And it's a link to a science site.
Yep.
Those are hidden.
They're hidden. So that's the public dialogue. Look at me putting the banner up. I need a raise. All right,
the CEO of the company, because I'll give you a raise. Make me CEO.
So right away, the Wall Street Journal. It's official. We can pretty much treat COVID like the flu now. Wahoo! And here's the chief nerd showing. So I can't see what the year was when Facebook removed Trump posts that he compared it to the flu, but I'm assuming it was back in
2019 2020, 19.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So that was removed, as was like anything about the lab leak speculation or that the vaccine wasn't going to prevent spread or anything like that, all removed. And now it's official.
Back then we didn't know. And so the assumption is, well, now we know, so you can treat it like the flu. But no, now we actually know you cannot get anywhere near treating it like the flu.
And by the way,
it's such gaslighting. It's crazy.
Disgusting. But do you remember Bob Woodward had interviewed Trump in February of 2020? And in February of 2020, Trump tells Woodward, it's not the flu, it's airborne, it's going to spread like crazy. This is a terrifying moment. When Bob Woodward finally published his book, like 6 months and I don't know how many deaths and infections later.
Right. He got a lot of
everybody was in an but people were in outrage that Trump had known in February and didn't say anything to the public. But so did Bob Woodward and held on to that so he could have some big, sensational
gotcha moment in the book.
Yeah. 6 months of everybody knowing. And I mean, they knew it was airborne. We've all seen that clip at the World Health Organization where the head in late February, beginning of March says it's airborne, gets a swift whisper in his ear, and then says, no, not airborne. They knew. They knew the whole time.
And I mean, just imagine that though. This is where leftists are like garbage. Like it's like holding on to something to get the other guys politically when you could save lives right now. Bob Woodward could have saved so many people's lives by coming out forward with that information right away. That'd be like, hey, Lila and I, our show, we have the way to cure COVID. if you join our Patreon, if we actually did. And
Right.
we're just like, oh, join our Patreon and we'll have an extra show where we show you how to fight COVID, you know?
Yeah.
It's just, it's so absurd. And they get a pass on it. This is where, if Trump's president, none of this stuff happens. I hate to say it because the press turns on him. The press reports this stuff. As far as COVID goes, I'm telling you, we will be better under Trump. Now, I'm not going to say any other stuff, but the press will pay attention to COVID again, and that's going to save a lot of lives. That right there, throw in some
Do you think they'll go back to that, or do you think it's done? I mean, they'll start talking about hospitals. They'll like do a different angle around it, right?
Yeah,
like waiting
that's
in hospitals. Yeah,
there'll be a new take, like the stress on the health system because he's ignoring COVID.
Right,
that'll be a thing, and
right. Yeah. Well, and
they'll find some way to not, because obviously they still are not going to want us all to just stay home because there's going to be no social program for it. But you'll get the left wing again. You'll get the squad again on our side. They will all suddenly wake up to COVID.
Yeah. Yeah. And healthcare and vaccinations. I did see one of his threats was any public school that requires vaccinations will lose federal funding. You know, it's really interesting to me because he's not stupid politically. Like I think he has an idea of how to like wriggle his way around certain things. That to me feels like he's handing it to Biden because he could say, Trump could say that Trump did better on COVID than Biden. Fewer deaths.
He's going to go there a little bit, I think, honestly.
Yeah.
He is.
Anyway, but he keeps like playing his part of being the greater evil.
Oh, he's missing opportunity, and this is where he's not smart. That's where I'm.
That's what I don't get. Yeah,
he's not smart because he's missing that opportunity. He's missing the opportunity on Palestine. Not that he would never come out and be pro-Palestine, but he's missing. He's putting out. Like he said yesterday. Well, we'll get to Palestine.
Yeah.
We'll cover that. Yeah. But he's lobbying votes back to Biden for a lot of.
It's crazy to me.
A lot of fence sitters are going to be like, "Well, I was really pro-Palestine, but now I am actually convinced by what Trump said that he's going to be worse on Palestine."
Right. Yeah. Genocide plus. All right. Let's get through this quickly. So. Right away, people start getting notices from human resources at the office that there's no more sick pay for COVID because of the CDC's changed guidelines, right? So that's like it's all the dominoes start falling. It was interesting. It was leaked when that first happened that the White House was going to continue its precautions that anyone who's tested positive for COVID or has had any symptoms or been in close contact should stay home within 10 days prior to the public tour of the White House or seeing the president. And now they have lifted those, which is, I think, if anybody still thought that possibly Biden was going to be the nominee, this is the surefire decision that they are trying to get rid of him no matter what. Get that man another case of COVID.
And, that clip we showed of him, like, struggling to breathe, like, but remember, he did have a rare breakthrough re-emergence of COVID during his early on in COVID. He was one of the rare breakthrough cases where he wasn't healed enough from his COVID.
Right.
So he probably
and Jill's gotten it like 4 times, right?
Yeah. So I mean, there's probably some long COVID effects, and maybe
brain damage,
maybe their
dementia,
calculus on this. Maybe their calculus on this is that he had COVID this week. Or something, so they're like, well, okay, he's got like, you do get immunity generally for a few months if you've had COVID. Now,
not anymore, not with this new one.
Well,
don't mean to correct you, but no, even with, a little bit, but not the way it used to be.
It's not the same, but
yeah,
I have to think in his case, if he had COVID recently and he's got the doctors, he's in a better place. And so, they might be making the political calculation that like, okay, he's going to be on the road for 3-4 months. unlikely to get COVID in that time because he's recently
Wait, so
got
you're-
it.
Okay. I think that the reason that they lifted these precautions for
Well,
him
they
is
want him
because
to
they don't
die.
give
So
a
they
shit if he
also
dies.
want him-
Yeah. So like, what's your angle here? I don't
They
even
also
understand.
want him to die, but I
Yeah,
think
that's it. Stop correcting
he
me.
probably
You're
thinks
wrong.
he probably thinks, and they probably are telling
They
him
convinced him
that he's
Yeah.
got protection for a few months, and they're going to be extra
Listen.
cautious. But because he changed his policy now, you kind of got to do this, Joe. You kind of got to do this, Joe.
Yeah, maybe. I just don't think that he needs that much convincing of anything. I think, give him a bowl of ice cream and send him on his
They
take his
just
teeth out and let him go.
Spun him around in his wheelchair a couple times at home, and they're like,
exactly.
You want to do this? Sign this."
Yeah.
And then he's like, "Oh, great. Does that mean I get ice cream?"
Okay. Just so we're all like with actual numbers, another 1,652 people died this past week of COVID.
Wait a minute.
Hospitalization.
Can we block Jesco, Mister? How do we? Is there a block feature?
I love Mr. Jessica. Yeah, hospitalizations are still up. I mean, it's all such a fantasy, and you can pretend all you want that we're post-COVID, but like everybody is sick. Every single podcast I listen to or show I watch, people's voice, like people are coughing, they're hacking, everybody's sick all the time now. That's not normal. Like it did not used to be that we were all just sick all the time. Anyway.
Yeah, and that sickness isn't always going to show a positive COVID test because this is the consequence of your immune system getting beaten up by permanent COVID damage or temporarily permanent, but like maybe 6 months to a year of damage in a lot of people's cases who get COVID. So they're going to get other diseases, and they're not going to necessarily show a COVID positive test associated with them.
Exactly. Sorry, yeah, exactly. Sorry, I'm trying to go back and read because I wasn't actually all that interested in what you were just saying, Pat.
I wasn't listening to
I'm
you
joking.
go back and talk about these. I don't what something about.
This
comments?
is going to be our big fight episode. We're gonna bring some drama to this.
Ignorant slut.
We
old people.
just so everybody knows, rich people are still trying to clean the air and do their best to go back to normal, and this is what we should all have. Luxury homeowners are known to splurge on sleek kitchens, custom decor, and art, but they are increasingly turning their attention and budgets to something you can't see: clean air. Purify, filter the air. Just like, I remember when like a few rich people I knew years and years ago, like got water filters for everything in their whole house, not just like their not just out of the tap, but even their showers and whatever. And that was like, oh my God, I still think that's pretty fancy, but like you see, if we're going to poison people's water the way we're doing rampantly, everyone should have filtered water for every part of their, however water, if it's touching your skin or you're ingesting it, and clean air. And that's, that and masks and testing and all those things. If we ever want these variants to stop.
Oh,
is that,
yeah.
Did she just be on you?
No, no, I chased her off so she wouldn't. But look, I'm installing like the new bougie thing, like the water is bidets. All these rich people are getting bidets, but their bidet water is probably better
Purified
for you than most people's drinking water in America.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. Taylor Swift is the latest singer to raise concern. Fans expressed concern as Taylor Swift coughs through her Singapore show. It's actually, the video is not like interesting enough to watch here because it's really dark and everything, but it was crazy to watch it and see she's singing and then she just like like into the audience, just like coughs, doesn't cover her mouth, nothing, sings, coughs. Anyway, we're going down.
Yeah, she is truly the super spreader with all the events she's having. So now, that's like conspiracy, but maybe she's going out. Maybe she's a part of this. Maybe there's a
culling.
Fauci connection. Somebody can Google and find to her because she's spreading this shit everywhere.
It's money, and then to think that it's like the thing with Adele, that if you only protect yourself with an airborne virus, it's so gross anyway to think of yourself that way, but like you're in this huge arena and you're only protecting yourself. Of course, that's not how it works.
Yeah, you're so aware that you're going to actually be one of the rare groups protecting you and your staff. But you're so aware and you have such a big platform and you have all these people, these kids, these young teenagers mostly coming to visit and see you. And you're not going to tell them, hey, you guys should probably mask at least. Or, you know, that's not enough. But like, just do that. That's a big move.
Not pretend. Show people that it's still here. Like just
Swifties, you could have an audience of 40,000 Swifties at every event masked. And that would be fucking powerful.
Yeah.
Because they're still going to go. They're still going to all go. Those tickets are still going to all sell out. It's not going to affect her bottom line at all.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. If anybody in this administration or in government really wanted to change things, which of course they don't, partner up with her on that. That would have been great. We did just want to call out and thank a friend of the show, Kim Crawley, who wrote an article, A Guide to COVID-Aware Internet Shows That Aren't All About COVID. And I think I just said,
Where are we at?
think I said Crawley.
I don't see us on the list. What the hell are you talking about?
I'm sorry, because I don't even know if it's Crawley or Crowley as I'm saying it, and I know she's in our audience, but a nice little write-up about us and several other shows. So please do check out her. Oh, that's why I got it. Okay, Crow Girls, Sky Cave.
Sorry.
Kim's
Crawley. Awesome.
Sorry. Yeah.
I don't know
So
Kim
check her
personally,
out.
but I mean, I've known her on Twitter and we've been in Twitter chats for a long time and she's great. So
Yeah,
please
she's
follow
great.
her. And
Also,
you can tell by that
thing.
article that she knows what she's talking about.
Yeah.
She's a hero.
Hero. One of our favorites. So thank you for doing that. Did you want to show the 217 guy?
Yeah. So, I mean, this is sort of our one good thing to end this thing on. So obviously this is not a case study that proves a lot, but there's a guy who faked vaccine cards, and to do it, he had to go in and get COVID shots every time. And he's selling these cards to people that don't want to get the vaccine because they're scared of the vaccine. And he got 217 of them, and they ended up studying this guy, and he's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't mean, you can't extrapolate that to mean
it's
nobody's
one guy,
gonna die
but
from the,
yeah.
Because obviously people do have vaccine injuries. That's a very real thing.
Right.
But on the scale that people are worried about, it doesn't match up to the math, which I'm not going to fake here. But
yeah,
it's clear this dude got 217 vaccines and then suckered in all these people to buy the vaccines cards. Like they're all
he is
scared
neon
of the
green
vaccine.
now, though. Did you see a picture of him?
No.
I'm joking.
Anyway, he's fine. So I look, we're all going to end
enough
up getting
science
like
for
50
you.
vaccines.
That's the only proof you need.
50
that's
vaccines.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. All right. I think we did it with the COVID.
I think we should move on. Let's see where we go from here.
F you to you sick fuck you, Ashish Jha.
Amen.
All right. Dude, it's my button to push. We are really going to
That's
come
good, because I'm going to go to my
end.
fridge and grab a beer while you spin.
Okay, good. Let's see it.
Yeah, baby.
Change that. That's a bit much.
It's a little much, Pat, but I like it. Okay,
Please
we
dial the
are
volume down.
on Say What.
Oh, there's a classic. This is a classic.
Just for all the people who really miss George W.
This is the most election of our lifetime.
Stop the terror. I call upon all nations to do everything they can to stop these terrorist killers. Thank you. Now watch this drive. All right, you need another. Our news speaker.
Over $1,300,000,000 $1,300,000,000.
Oh my God. I was pregnant with my first and then my second kid during his two tenures as president. And I got to a point where Josh would just be like, you can't, like your blood pressure, you're going to ruin those little fetuses in you because you're so angry. And the fact that liberals will say that they miss him or he was one of the good Republicans, or they have Nicole Wallace on MSNBC. And
yeah. Well, it's
they
funny
think
because
Trump is worse than that. Is amazing.
we pulled that clip of him and made that little segment like 2 weeks ago and didn't show it. Excuse me. But then Biden had his ice cream moment and everyone's like connecting the dots to, oh, it's just like George W. Bush watch this drive moment, you know?
Yeah.
It's the same casual, like, none of this is that serious to me. I'm going to go home and sleep. So
I'll just
here I
kill a
am
few
licking
million
ice
more
cream,
people.
talking about the ceasefire that didn't happen.
Oh my God.
When you
Well, it's
said
going to
it
happen on Monday. Oh, 2 days ago. Didn't happen yet. He's got his own super secret plan for a ceasefire. He's not telling it. I mean, that's what Trump does, right? He's like, listen, I could end this. I could end the war in Afghanistan in a minute. I could end ISIS in a minute. I could end the Taliban in a minute. I'll tell you when I get elected. His super secret ceasefire plan, it's on its way. Meanwhile, they're just
crashing and burning in the polls, but
and
that's for a whole other
people,
section.
like
what are we
slaughtering
on to
people. Yeah. Okay. What are we moving on to?
Oh, we're on to 2024, so that's perfect.
Look at that. Just in time.
Let's see the
Not
polls.
sure. Is that true?
Yeah,
we are.
State of disunion. Because tomorrow is the State of the Union. I don't know who's going to suffer through it. Probably just me and Lila, and we'll report on it. But I wouldn't watch it if I was you.
Oh my God. I mean, nothing's going to happen. They're going to hop them up. It's going to be all scripted, and they're not going to let anybody get in there to do any protests the way the Bring the Ruckus crowd was supposed to do. Yeah. They should be doing it.
I just really hope there's a part we can clip where the whole Democratic Party gets up and claps for shrinkflation. Like he's like, your Dorito bag is not going to have all the chips. It's going to have more chips than it used to because they're packing in air. And then the whole Democratic Party gets up and goes, oh my God, fucking amazing.
Do you think they're going to have Cookie Monster there? Cookie Monster.
Cookie Monster is this week's thing.
Do you think he'll be there? They're going to do some stupid stunt like that just to try to be funny. All right. Well, yesterday was interesting. We had Super Tuesday. 4 years ago, Super Tuesday was the last time I believed we had any democracy. I know it took me longer than most, but that really was my moment, was 4 years ago, Super Tuesday. Lots of uncommitted showing up to destroy. I'm kind of going out of order. Is that are you all right with that?
Yeah, I'm not. I don't do show prep. Just push whatever slide you want.
So I just think, 20% of Minnesota goes to uncommitted. They are going to get, I think, what is it? 11 delegates? I think 11 delegates just from Minnesota to the Democratic National Convention. That's amazing. Yeah. And I think they only started a couple weeks ago. They had a really small budget. I think it was like $10,000.
Yeah, and look, this is going to grow. I mean, it's not going to grow to where it's going to be, they're not going to win an election in a state, right? That would be amazing, though. If Uncommitted actually won, that'd be amazing. And then you could be, I would love to be that guy. I would join the Democratic Party again to become their delegate at the convention going, I cast my ballots to Uncommitted. They're not going to give somebody the mic to do that, but no, it's amazing. Like there was very little effort, just lots of rage and people tweeting about it. And that got over 100,000 votes Uncommitted in Minnesota. Yeah.
That's amazing. Wait, what was it? No, sorry. I'm sorry. It was 33,900. I just don't want, fake news.
No, the 100,000 wasn't in Minnesota. The 100,000 was in
last week, Michigan. Yeah, which was amazing. And they keep saying things like, well, there's always a healthy number of people for Uncommitted, but it's like a small percentage point. And now they're getting 11 delegates from Minnesota. I don't know. I know, Audrey, I think I saw you just asked about Michigan. I don't know. Oh, look,
it was
this is the runs, and I can't verify, but runs too is
it was over. It cleared 100. It cleared 100 in Michigan. That's where I thought. And the M and Minnesota, MN, MI. I'm old.
Very confusing.
Glasses, I couldn't tell.
Very confusing.
Yeah, but let's look at how the polling is coming across here. We didn't show that yet, right?
No, we have not. Wow, amazing. in the bag.
But
Slam dunk. If the 2024 presidential election were held today, who would you vote for if the candidates were Joe Biden and Donald Trump? This is from the New York Times Siena College poll.
And, am I wrong? Like, I don't remember seeing "don't know" refused. Like, refused must be going up the ranks. Like, I'm not going to fucking tell you, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Like, I don't remember
want
refused being a thing that you saw all the time.
The thing that's also really interesting to me is they know, like, he's lost all the swing states, right? Like, there's this, you know, I'm sure everybody here is mutuals with Benigma, Chuck. But this, how Muslim voters could shape Biden's chances. This is 5 of the swing states. Biden win margin is the dark blue, and the number of Muslims is the light blue. And his win margin from 2020 is a fraction of the number of Muslims, which, by the way, I mean, you know, this is not just a Muslim or Arab American issue. This is a majority of the Democratic Party, I think a majority of the country, young people, Black voters, you know, Democratic voters, leftists, of course. But there's like, I mean, it's not just Muslim Americans and Arab Americans at all.
But what that segment is, it's people that you're not going to win back. Like, it shows you that no matter what effort you do, like, if your family literally, if you know people that died over there because of Biden's policies, you can't shame them into voting for you. And
as much as they try.
and we'll show a clip. Well, do you want to show the clip now, or should we?
Let's show it.
All right.
What, the whoopee one?
Oh, well, no, I want.
Learn to love.
Well, okay. First,
we should probably done a little more prep so we could be on the same page here, Pat.
Did we show the voter enthusiasm yet? Look at this one.
That's not a clip, but which comes closer to how you feel about Joe Biden or Donald Trump being the nominee for president? Enthusiastic. That's pretty much all you need to know. Honestly, they could just end it there. Enthusiasm, 23% Biden to 48% Trump. And I mean, that's just.
I repeat it every week, probably, but like, common political knowledge, political science says how you win elections is your voter enthusiasm and how you do in the swing states and how you do with independents. Like, those are the three things. But the swing states ultimately trump all this stuff.
Yeah.
And what they don't talk about on TV, when, you know, the clip we're going to show, maybe if someone gets their shit together, which is me, I got to get my shit together. But they talk, look, this time in 2020, we were getting all this talk about how Biden's got the swing states. No matter how bad things are doing, you know, the swing states are pretty much leaning his way. And now he's losing every single swing state. Like, you could show all the polls in the world, but if he's going to lose all the swing states, none of this other stuff is even relevant remotely. Like, but they don't talk about the swing states anymore. They'll put a poll up once in a while, but when they have a whole panel of people debating things, they're never going to get down to, well, how are you going to change these 7 states where he's losing?
No, they never will. And they keep trying to do the general election, hoping those numbers are better. And now those numbers stink. So like, they can't even, you know,
and even Biden himself, you know, when they will quote a poll back to him, well, have you seen these other polls? You know, we're looking at different polls because the polls got me moving ahead. Even when you find a positive poll for Biden, it's general election, which is not what decides. We are a state by state electoral college kind of voting system, and he's losing it, and no kind of talk is going to change that he's losing every swing state.
Well,
and so Biden is like a 50-50 shot, and you know, maybe things will be a little bit better than that. Maybe we'll get all the way to 55-45 by November. You know, your lips to God's ears. But it's really disconcerting. So people think, well, there has to be something better, and there isn't. This is it. Joe Biden is the nominee, and you're going to learn to love it, America.
Jonathan, I couldn't agree. I couldn't agree with you more.
Learn to love it. Hilarious.
I love that they're all like getting it. They're all like, yeah, we're fucked. There's no Democrats aren't going to win this thing. But
it's hilarious. Learn to love it in our democracy.
Shit sandwich.
Blame the voters. Always blame the voters. would rather hang on to far right Nazi, basically, Netanyahu and his genocide, and hand this presidency over to Trump. Obviously, Democrats don't care, but yeah, that's where we are right now. What is hilarious, first incumbent president in 44 years to lose a primary. He lost American Samoa. Did you see that?
No. Is this
Yeah.
breaking news here?
First, breaking news. Wait, I'm going to find it because I do think it's pretty funny, but now I can't find it. All right. Anyway, first incumbent president in 44 years. Jimmy Carter lost, I think, 12 states, actually, to Ted Kennedy in 80, and then was beaten by Ronald Reagan. But he lost American Samoa.
Who did he lose American Samoa to? Since I don't even
somebody
know.
Who I think is from
making
Maryland. Oh, here it is. No, I'm not. Look, Joe Biden loses to Jason Palmer in American Samoa.
Jason Palmer is my hero.
He's your hero, right? He's everybody's hero. Jason
He's probably
Palmer.
a right-wing Nazi.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's probably just like a, standard middle of the road corporate Democrat. It's like Dean Phillips kind of guy, who, by the way, dropped out today.
Jason Palmer could be AI. I mean, Jason Palmer. That's
actually,
not even
God,
a name.
that's so funny.
We should all start writing. Maybe Jason Palmer is a better choice than Uncommitted. Maybe we should get behind this.
Yeah, well, I think that's like the Dean Phillips guy. Yeah, but yeah, Dean Phillips dropped out, and I think Kirsten Sinema announced she's not running again. And that's where we are. Okay. Let's see who's too old. Because that's the other thing that they keep saying is, Donald Trump's no spring chicken. They're both old. It doesn't matter. Like, stop. You're not going to get Republicans on hypocrisy or on Donald Trump's age. They don't give a shit.
And there's this new round of stuff going around pushing that Trump also has, this is true, pushing that Trump also has dementia. Like, well, he's also got dementia, which... First off, no, he doesn't. There's a difference between Donald Trump. He's got his terrible antics. He's racist. He's a bad guy, but he does not have dementia. He does not. He forgets the silly shit. It's just silly gaffes. And if Biden's gaffes were just the dumb gaffes he's had his whole career, fine. But Biden, you use your eyes. Everybody can use their eyes. And when they see when people are on TV saying Trump's got dementia too, you have to really have bought into the blue Kool-Aid to go, oh, these are equally old people.
Right. Yeah.
And the
Biden was already
buying it, which is the point when you see that chart. Sorry. Yeah. But 73% of people don't think they think he's too old to be effective. Where only 42% think Trump is. So that 73% number, that's got to be like 30% Democrats.
You're just making that up.
I mean, yeah, of course, but it's like, but you can't get.
I just want to put that out there so I don't get tagged with your fake news label.
It's 33.7%.
99% of Democrats. No, it's disgraceful. Nobody wanted him in 2019. They didn't want him in 87. They didn't want him in 2008. Like, nobody wants him. And the only thing the Democrats have going, which the Supreme Court just screwed them on, is could they lock Trump up? Could they prevent him from being on the ballot? Like, how do we just, and that's all their focus is. And so much so that, we know Trump, what's his face? Biden's now going after Nikki Haley's people. Has he ever gone after his own base? The left wing of the Democratic Party? Has he ever made overtures? No. Do you remember when he became the candidate after, fucking Obama came out of his money cave and shut it all down? And they had that T-shirt and it was crossing out, not a Republican, I beat the socialists, Bernie had millions of people volunteering for him, donating, coming to his rallies. Biden had 4 fold-out chairs in a high school gym that were empty, and you're going to disregard an enormous part of your base. Young people have left him. Black voters, Hispanic voters, leaving him. Some of them are going to Trump, which is crazy. Why wasn't this the moment that people figured out how to get our third party going? What a
we'll have that talk down the road. But maybe with Jill Stein, we might have Stein. We're hoping to get Jill Stein on here, but we obviously it's a missed opportunity, and you know a lot of people have a lot of anger at Bernie because the movement, the unity side of the movement fizzled out big time once he started co-signing Biden's policies. And he's doing that severely now. When you see him do it over Palestine, over Bernie's the chair of the health committee in the Senate. And on COVID, he's absolutely fucking useless. He held a long COVID summit or whatever you want to call it, where they all, they called in the experts a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
But then what's he saying right now about the masks and the return to work policy?
I mean, has he said anything about this new CDC guideline?
No, I'm not saying he hasn't said something. If he said it, let me know. But I haven't seen anything from him.
Yeah, me neither. No, it's disgusting. Yeah, that's true. They do. They just keep running that. Actually, well, we might as well just say it now. We were waiting till the end of the show, but I am very excited. And, they're amazing. I'm very excited. I feel like if we could have all organized behind a third party, maybe it's not too late, but we are very excited. Can I just say it now? So that next week we will be.
No. Don't say it, Lila, or I'm done. I am done with this show.
If
she dropped this.
Next week we're gonna have the SCP presidential ticket, Joseph Kishore, and presidential candidate Joseph Kishore and vice presidential candidate Jerry White on our show next week. Very excited to welcome them on. The only candidates, because I've been watching them quite a bit over this last, I think they announced 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago, they go to rallies. They both have N95 masks on. Like, they take that seriously. They take the genocide in Gaza seriously. But I keep seeing people, and listen, Jill Stein, I love her policies. I think they're great. And I don't want to disparage anybody who is, like 90% of everything I want. But I keep seeing people at her rallies, indoor rallies, hugging it, and nobody's wearing a mask. And it's like, I don't know. It's just really upsetting to know that everybody is just going to ignore the fact that we have this biohazard level 3 virus spreading with no precautions at all. And the only presidential ticket that's talking about it is the SCP candidate. So bravo to them. Very excited to welcome them on next week.
Absolutely. And kudos to them. Like, that alone is a reason to highlight them and get them out there in the world. Stein has been better on it lately. I think, we're seeing her pivot a little bit to that. But again, the only ones masking out in public right now are these guys. So kudos. I look forward to talking to them. Yeah,
me too. Absolutely. Yeah. Socialist Equality Party. I didn't see this fast enough. I'm trying to read it.
SCP, Lila. Right. SCP. I just saw that in the chat. I've been waiting for him forever.
Pat. Okay. Where are we now? All right. Well, this is just wildly infuriating for our blue California. This was yesterday. We had a chance, again, not perfect, but Barbara Lee, pretty great, running for Senate. And instead, there's Adam Schiff, who got 34% of the vote, which is just disgraceful. Both because he's a warmongering corporate Democrat liar about Russiagate and every other thing. He's just a vile person. Yeah, go ahead. And what?
Well, no, they pulled, this is basically the what's the strategy called in the Bernie thing? The Pied Piper strategy.
Yeah.
So they boosted Steve Garvey.
Yeah, if you gave money to Adam Schiff, he gave it millions of dollars of your money if you donated to Adam Schiff to Steve Garvey. Far-right, disgusting GOP.
I got to correct you, Lila, because these facts matter. His PAC did. So, but his own campaign strategically framed it. Every commercial from Schiff was an ad against Garvey. So that by the very nature of doing that, he created the opponent. So all the Republicans are like, oh, Steve Garvey, because Steve Garvey on his own didn't spend shit on this fucking election. He didn't put money into it. I mean, very little relative to what Adam Schiff had. And so the effect of it was to elevate. So they wanted a war between Schiff and Garvey and all Schiff's campaigns, put it that way. And you see how close it is here. Now, he could actually lose the state and we could have Steve fucking Garvey.
Yeah.
And this stuff.
And it matters down ticket also, right? Because that gets more Republicans out.
Exactly.
Republicans are going to want to come out to vote for Steve Garvey.
And as a Democrat in California, you are not so concerned, even if you're a Democrat, about losing the state. So, Biden, enthusiasms are going to be low for Biden. And in California, where they still want Biden, it's still going to be low because Californians know Biden's going to carry the state. Right. So it's going to be a low voter turnout in California, which could end up getting Steve Garvey elected because the people who want to vote against somebody strongly are going to show up to vote.
Right.
They're not going to go, okay, I'm going to vote for Biden. And then they check all the Dem boxes and Adam Schiff wins automatically. It's not going to be that way this time around. So we run the risk of doing the whole Hillary Clinton. That's how Trump won the election. That's how Steve Garvey became the fucking senator for our state.
And as this is from Jen Perlman, as she says, it's also going to get more down ballot Republicans in office, likely, because more Republicans will show up to vote because Steve Garvey, it will be a race between Adam Schiff and Steve Garvey.
It's the highest, like if you didn't have a senator on the list,
right,
you're down to local politics and, things that are less important to most people. So they're not going to come and vote for the local Republican. And so you run the risk of
exciting the Republican base.
Slowly turning this state a little redder. You're going to turn it a little redder by this move he just did. Like for sure, the outcome of this, even if Adam Schiff wins, which he probably is still going to win, is we're going to have more local Republicans than we would have had he not chose this strategy.
And Democrats will be tripping over themselves to reach across the aisle to their friends on the Republican side in our blue state of California. And that will be the excuse for all the things they wanted to do and that they ran on not happening because they have to, compromise. I did also want to say, I just saw before we went to air that Jen Perlman has just announced that she is starting a campaign to run against Debbie Wasserman Schultz again in Florida for that congressional seat. So good luck to Jen. We'll have to try and have her come back on the show. It would be really nice to hear about her plans to unseat.
Before we get off Adam Schiff, I
sorry.
can't how many times we have a chance to talk about Adam Schiff because he's such a loser. Nobody fucking cares.
Hope never again. Yeah.
But he literally in the Twitter files tried to get my parody account banned from Twitter. He and the DNC in separate emails were like, you got to get this guy off. You look it up in the Twitter files. That's this guy spending our taxpayer dollars, not just on promoting the Republican, but also making sure important things like my Twitter account don't exist.
He's really tackling the issues. He's lying about Russiagate and interference. And remember all the information that he saw that never materialized. And sending
but he didn't get me banned even. So he was feckless even then.
He couldn't even do that. And but that was where his attention
anybody
was
should be able to get me banned. I mean, that shouldn't take a lot of
all right. I know we have more stuff, but I feel like we should maybe move on. I mean, unless there's what do you think? We've really
I don't think we have anything important. 2024 elections are so far from now.
Yeah.
Cookie Monster,
anything
Maloney.
Could happen.
I mean, we got the hair sniffing of a fascist.
That's the thing. He talks about the MAGA. That's his whole vibe right now. That's all he's running on. We got to defeat MAGA. Yeah. He's sniffing an actual fascist hair and arming a fascist genocide. So,
yeah. So, okay. What? So real quick, we're not going to touch. We have all these slides in the New Yorker article.
I know.
Please go read the New Yorker article, but understand it's framed. It's really a low key fluff piece on
Democrats
Biden.
Overall, yeah.
Overall, you leave the article thinking,
he accomplished so much.
He's a nice guy. He's just not good at politics. He makes some silly decisions, but his heart's in the right place. And because they don't talk about anything he does bad at all.
I'm the only one who ever beat him. I'll beat him again. But that's
Right.
like, yeah, exactly. They're just saying, yeah.
The most newsworthy thing probably in the article against him is that he admits here, like we've said this forever, like Joe Biden has always been, he's a Catholic. He's like, personally, I'm against abortion, like, but you know, because of politics.
Fought for the Hyde
I see it's
Amendment
best for
to
the country.
prevent federal funding for anybody who provides abortion.
Yeah, but he's ultimately against abortion. So anyway, his quote was, I've never been supportive of, it's my body. I can do what I want with it. And then he goes on to back it up, basically like religions agree with this little limited amount of abortion allowed. But, the whole thing they're running on is, well, at least Biden will veto. He won't sign off on an abortion ban nationwide. Are you sure? Like even that, like, are you sure that if he won, it would be his last spout on earth?
He wants to go to heaven.
He wants to go to heaven as a devout Catholic. His entire life, he's been against abortion personally. He's made public comments like, that he didn't agree with the Hyde Amendment or the Roe versus Wade. He said it went too far. You don't know. He's
is not your ally. Yeah.
The guy that literally lost abortion rights nationwide under his watch.
Yeah.
And
by the way, helped Thomas get on the Supreme Court, even though he didn't vote for him. But he is no friend to abortion rights or any.
Even if you take him at his word, he's not smart enough to not say this.
I know. God.
You're not smart enough to just hide this part. I mean, strategically, are they appealing to Republicans with this? Like they're, I don't know. It's a terrible strategy.
I don't know. We're a big tent. Democrats, I don't know why I say we, I'm not a Democrat anymore. But you remember, we're a big tent party, and they went down the same time of the Dobbs decision to Nancy Pelosi goes down to boost Henry Cuellar, who is an anti-choice Democrat in Texas, when they had a progressive down there whose name Jessica Cisneros. Yeah. But I mean,
there's this. There's this. The emails came out that show that right before Roe was overturned, he was going to nominate an anti-abortion conservative in, I don't know what state, Kentucky. So like this whole idea that
he's going to protect women's rights,
really going to protect
reproductive rights. Yeah,
no. He's not. I mean, maybe give him the benefit of the doubt. He would veto a nationwide abortion ban.
Great.
Okay.
Good job.
But that's.
Then he'd be like, well, listen, I don't want to be a dictator because, executive power and whatever.
Yeah. Work.
Oh my God. All right.
15 weeks is fine. All right. Let's move on.
I need to focus on something good, which is
a shot.
Thank you to Thank you to Devin, who gifted 1 Punch Up Pod membership. You are amazing.
Cheers,
Devin. Thank you. And cheers to you. And new member, Zaina. Thank you so much. You're awesome. We really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Aren't you running for something again? Or I feel like suddenly you're back in the mix. Sorry. Tell me in the chat. I don't know. I feel like maybe I'm right. Maybe I'm wrong.
Oh, really?
I'm just guessing here.
Oh, all right. Let's see.
Is there something?
Did you just put that back on to get me going? All right, here we go. I'm spinning.
Yeah, baby.
There, we don't need it.
Look at that. We didn't even need the audible. It came. The
wheel abides.
The wheel knows what we need. The wheel. Wait a second. I need to switch my hands. Okay. Oh, I poured it in the wrong. I have 2 different shot glasses here. One's for my first drink to make sure that I don't go too much. Okay, cheers.
We need to spin again because that was this
yeah, I know. He's so worried I'm not going to do my job.
Yeah, baby.
You need my explosion graphic.
Oh my God. Oh, wow. Okay.
Good wheel. That's a good little wheel.
The thing that I think is really important for everybody to remember is that I do still have a bottle of Pinot that I drink after the show. So it's like a lot. It's a lot.
Pinot.
I know my Pinot Noir. It's not though. It's really cheap, but I love it. 14.5%
I
alcohol.
didn't even give a shout out to my beer. I'm drinking a local beer, hopping on the California one.
Okay, I like that.
I support my local brewers whenever I can.
That's really good. All right, cheers. I'm having my shot. And good for you, Devin. Sorry. Okay.
Thank you, Kimmy. Appreciate it. Love your cat. I had a black cat like that too. Otter was her name.
Kimmy, thank you. Thank you. That's so nice. Okay. All right. Moving. Oh no, we have to.
See,
okay.
This is why I said.
This is why I need you. See, I do need you. I need you.
All right.
Yeah, baby.
All right.
Do you guys want to see voice actor or kids? I don't know. It's a tough toss up. Any first response in the chat? Kids or a voice actor? Too slow. This is why Lila never wants to go to the chat under pressure.
I know. But no, okay. All right.
Voice actor. Let's go.
Hi, I'm a full-time voice actor, and these are 10 popular tones I'm asked to use when I'm providing the voiceover for a project. When doing text-to-speech, you have to maintain a consistent and clear tone so the program can read anything, which gets really weird in the recording sessions when you're saying words taken from shocking news headlines. This read is called detached, casual, conversational, and it's supposed to actually sound like a real person talking while they're just mindlessly scrolling.
This is called a bright read. You'll usually hear this when big department stores want you to know that they have denim for the entire family.
This is a warm read, and you'll hear this when someone is trying to make you feel emotional about animals, coming home for the holidays, or anything else that's meant to make you get just a little misty-eyed. And this one, I call this the John Krasinski conversational read, and it's when you're just supposed to sound like a guy. Some people might call it a chatty read, and you might hear some little vocal flavorings here and there. This also, of course, works in a more traditional feminine read, when it's supposed to sound like you're just talking to a friend. The authoritative tone is the one we use when we want you to trust us, because we're confident professional leaders in our field. We're scientists, we're doctors, and we know what we're talking about. When they want me to sound wry or sarcastic, I call it the Natasha Lyonne know-it-all tone, and it's an offshoot of the chatty conversational read. This specific documentary narration tone is supposed to make you feel awe, wonder, and inspiration when it's set against footage of nature and animals doing incredible things. This tone for e-learning and training modules is supposed to sound friendly and professional. I often call it the Welcome to Chase voice. Thank you for calling. I'm really not sure why we're still using this one, because nobody seems to like it.
I love it.
I kind of love that, actually.
Yeah, if she's out there and single, hit me.
I love seeing her expressions change while she's doing it, because she doesn't really have to do that much to change the kind of emotion behind it. Yeah, it's cool.
She's really good. Like, I mean, hire her, people.
She's good.
If you work at Disney and you're watching our show.
Yeah, there's a whole slew of them. All right, now we are moving on.
Oh, Israel. God, we're so behind. We got to get cracking here.
Really behind. We're gonna whip through this because it's bad. Israel continues to be just awful. The latest thing is, what's the latest thing? Oh, I mean, I don't know. There's just one thing after another. The flower massacre happened, I think, like the day after our last show, where a whole group of 1.8 million people who are being purposely starved by Israel were finally being allowed to have a few trucks come in, and there's a little bit of pandemonium, and then Israeli snipers just start killing. They killed over 100 people. I think 1,000 were injured. 150 killed, 1,000 injured. And that was on February 28th. So that was the day of our last show. Right away, the IDF says it wasn't them. They put out a video, which I'm sure everybody saw, which was so repellent. And again, Nazi overtones, making the people look like ants. It was black and white, and you just see people sort of running. And then, of course, through further inspection, it becomes clear that the IDF absolutely was shooting at people that they were starving to death who were trying to get aid. And since then, there have been at least 4 more flour massacre type attacks. So first, the IDF denies that they would ever do it, just like with the hospital that we all spent time parsing and looking at videos, and they're denying it.
There's no way they bombed that hospital intentionally. Yeah. And then now every single hospital has been bombed, and there are effectively no working hospitals now.
Complete collapse. Right. So let's see. This was on March 5th. So that was yesterday, was the 3rd one, right? So it was the 2nd attack since last Thursday's, or so it was last Thursday, flour massacre. They've had 2 more. Today there was another one. 8 Palestinians have been wounded after Israeli forces fired live rounds at people waiting for humanitarian aid. We have a president and a government that is funding and arming the people who are committing these massacres, while at the same time pretending that we're trying to send in humanitarian aid. But now, because our good friends in the Middle East, the only democracy, Biden can't trust them not to attack the few trucks that he is actually able to get in. Now they're airdropping aid.
They're airdropping, as people have pointed out, it's the paper towel moment with Trump. Like, oh, here's a paper towel thrown out at hurricane, whatever, The amount of food airdropped was like so insignificant to cover the need. And obviously, we pointed out last week, I think
38,000 food packages for 2 million.
It was spoiled.
Yes,
regardless of that,
fired.
It's not going to do anything. It's just like Biden saying before Super Tuesday, we're going to have a ceasefire on Monday.
Yeah.
And it doesn't
38,000. And also no clean water. And also a lot of it was airdropped into water. So not only are you starving people, which is a war crime, but you're shooting them as they try to get a little bit of expired aid that doesn't even include drinking water, which they don't have because Israel shut off their ability to have clean drinking water. There's like rivers of raw sewage just around Gaza. But now you're airdropping it. So people are running into the water where they don't even have fresh water to then clean off. And it's like, I'm sure it's like lovely to go into the sea when you haven't eaten and haven't had clean water. You can't shower off that salt. Like every part of it is just
part of it is bad. And look, Israel bombed. They shot fishermen in the water, fishermen
boats, like,
trying to bring back food for the people who are starving. They shot them. So any claims that we can't do anything about this while we're stopping humanitarian aid, while we're allowing Israel to bomb and shoot humanitarian aid and bomb hospitals and bomb schools, like hospitals and ambulances and humanitarian aid is not safe. And so like the PR response from Israel is to put out all these paid kids online, because if you're Israeli, they're paying people to push propaganda online. Like they literally admit it. It's out there. It's known.
Yep.
It may not be propaganda to them. They may believe this stuff, but their response is, well, what can Biden do? What Biden can't do anything here. Like that's probably a Democratic push in this situation.
But no, but
you can't separate, which the U.S. keeps trying to do. Separate calling for a ceasefire. Like, what can we do in this situation? It's an ally, and we're giving them money. And you can't detach. Okay, we don't give them money first.
There are lots of politics explainers online and on cable news telling us how Biden isn't the president of Israel. What could he do? Which is such a lie. We all know he went around Congress twice to give them more arms. He could pick up the phone the way he did in 2001 and tell Netanyahu to stop. He could not tell his lackeys to go and veto ceasefire resolutions. He even forced, what's the guy's name? I can't remember, to tell the UN that they couldn't, I mean, who cares even, but I mean, it's such like a small thing, but that at the UN, they can't even do a resolution to condemn the Flower Massacre because we haven't investigated yet and we don't know. We still don't know. Do they know
Biden
about UNRWA?
He's
UNRWA?
completely
How about that?
powerless, but he can, he can bypass Congress to renew spying power.
Right.
He can bypass Congress to get money. He can bypass money to Congress to give weapons to put a weapon stash that's free and fair. Like, just do what you want with this, Israel. Here's our weapon stash.
Which, by the way, makes, I mean, I know we all know this, but complicit legally because once they...
genocide laws.
Right. Genocide, war crimes. There's just been an open letter after Aaron Bushnell self-immolated last week all around the world. People are holding up pictures of him, grateful to him for this extreme act of protest. And I think it's probably helped other people in the military to come forward. A letter that was written saying, this is, war crimes are not political. And genocide is not political. This goes against, and listen, we did plenty of things, and we have, of course, I think the US is probably the biggest terrorist organization in the world. But I think individual service people feel like they want, this is against what they thought that they were signing up for. And the fact that it is so clear, I don't think that's ever happened before, where people are videotaping and sharing on social media their own, the genocide happening to them. And by the way, the IDF, with the Flower Massacre, I mean, there are all these Telegram channels, right, that are IDF soldiers showing how, we're killing them like roaches, like ants. We're getting them to, the hungrier they are, they're going to start cannibalizing each other. And they have all people following them.
We can show a million videos of those, and
it's just
every week we pull a couple of them, and it's just like, I know everybody's watching these, so
we've all seen them. We know about them. It's horrifying, but they're advertising their genocide. They are proud of it, and we are still arming them. And still, even with seeing what happens when you airdrop and you can't get aid in, why tell your good friend Netanyahu to move the settlers away from, or the protesters who have the bouncy houses, and allow those aid trucks to come in. Isn't this our good friend in the Middle East? We can't trust him to allow our aid to come in.
Yeah. So I do want to show a clip of Mehdi Hassan actually on CNN saying something reasonable. I don't know how this got through, but God bless him, and I've had mixed feelings with Mehdi over the years, but I think he's one of the guys trying to work within the system to point some shit out. At the end of the day, he might tell you to vote for Biden, though, so fuck him on that if he does. But that doesn't make this still impactful to his audience.
Joe Biden has the power to pick up the phone and end this war. He can ring the Israeli prime minister and say, we're cutting you off. We're cutting off aid. We're cutting off armaments. Israelis themselves, Israeli generals say, we can't do this war without America. He hasn't done it. People are starving. A 2-month-old baby called Mahmoud Fatou starved to death earlier this week in Gaza. This is not a natural disaster. This is a man-made famine. Food is plentiful. It's available. It's a few miles away, and yet it's being blocked. In fact, at the Israeli crossing, Abby, I don't know how many CNN viewers know this, people are putting up bouncy castles, Israeli protesters, and eating popcorn and candy, cotton candy, and blocking the aid. That is crazy. Joe Biden has rightly said for the last few years that Donald Trump poses an existential threat to our democracy. The idea that he would risk not only his own presidency, but the future of American democracy for the sake of Benjamin Netanyahu and Itamar Ben-Gvir and Bezalel Smotrich and the rest of the fascists in Israel is bizarre and inexplicable to me.
Bingo.
Yeah. They have to stop hiding behind those lies. And I'm shocked that they're still letting Mehdi Hassan on, but I think it's getting to a point where it's just hard to deny what we're all seeing on our phones,
But I also think I think part of it is that there are enough people there at CNN even that are just like, we don't agree with this and we know too much. And like, I think it's outliers allowing some of this stuff in because CNN as a network does not want this stuff.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. And I think also, like Thomas Friedman just wrote, when you lose
Thomas Friedman,
when you lose Thomas Friedman, you're really,
holy shit.
Yeah. The whole rape story. I think that is the thing that is really also exposing the complicity of places like the New York Times in using this sort of genocide or this atrocity propaganda to create sympathy for a genocide. And, first it was the October 7th, the Hamas committed rape, and it was systematic and a weapon of war, and it was written up in November. Meanwhile, by the way, of course, there have been decades of accusations of Israeli soldiers raping and sexually assaulting Palestinian girls, boys, women, men for decades. Yeah. And anytime those claims are investigated and shown to have validity, right away, Israeli politicians say that, well, that organization, the UN, it's anti-Semitic. They won't let the UN in. They would not let the UN in to investigate these rape claims. Instead, as we all saw last week, they had Anat Schwartz write her propaganda piece with her nephew, who I think was a food blogger, a recent graduate of college. Neither one of them had ever had a byline as a journalist before in the New York Times.
I think the general public is following this a lot closer than CNN wants them to, than the Democratic Party wants them to, than the Republican Party, than the corporate party that running this country.
Right.
They don't want everyone following this that closely.
Yeah.
But what the public knows is that, look, we lived through the Iraq War. We saw this whole thing blow up over, this was a lie from the beginning about yellow cake uranium.
Right.
And it was perpetuated by the New York Times again.
Judith Miller.
They're always front and center in these propaganda things. And they know what's happened and that the New York Times they created this outroar against Palestinian people in general, as if they were all like the whole country's behind this whole rape agenda. They're all
like animals, like barbaric, like it's that whole thing so that it makes it palatable to wholesale massacre them.
This is some evil, like Al-Qaeda kind of level,
right?
These are the evil. This is a terrorist country, not just a group of people that were maybe terrorists,
right?
But the whole country supports this stuff, and so that's justification.
Obviously.
If that didn't exist, if that didn't come out from the New York Times, if it wasn't propagated on all the media, CNN, MSNBC, they never could have gotten so much U.S. support initially behind supporting this war,
right?
And you once you get that support, you have to undo it. If it's a wrong situation, you have to undo it.
Because there's that buy-in. People have already bought into feeling like Palestinians are animals, Arabs are animals. It's like,
yeah, but psychologically, you're attached to something emotional that's a vivid response.
Well, and even though like the 40 beheaded babies thing was
that's
debunked like 3 days later or something.
Strong visual.
Because Biden keeps talking about it. Yes, it's strong visual, right? But also, like, the lie persists even after it's been debunked. The thing with the rape has been debunked. Then they do the second piece. So there was the silent screams from November,
right?
That was debunked. Then there was this article with Anat Schwartz a couple weeks ago that proves it, right? Proves it. Well, she just cited the same sources from the one that was debunked from November. Then that was shown to be like that. Then she was sort of revealed to be just like a documentary filmmaker, not a journalist, had not interviewed any new people. Like basically they just rehashed the same stuff. They created a new, like the IDSA or whatever the hell for the, infectious disease Delta guy for COVID. they created some like sexual assault organization in Israel. So that became the new thing, but it was still the same Zaka lies that, they're like the emergency people who come, the head of which, by the way, who started it was a known pedophile and eventually committed suicide, I think. They've lied about the 40 beheaded babies. They lied about the babies in ovens. They lied about the pregnant women having their babies cut out. They've lied about the rapes taking place, so much so that even one of the, not compounds, kibbutzes, Barry, the head of that said, no, they're saying that there were people raped here. They were not, those people were not raped. The girl in the black dress, young woman in the black dress, also her family says was not raped. Like, it's all been debunked. So now they have a special person from the UN come in, talk to these same Israeli propagandists in Israel to investigate, doesn't talk to any actual witnesses, any survivors, any alleged victims, nothing, listens to them. And now she says, oh, it's credible. But with this caveat, it must be noted that all the information gathered by the mission team was in large part sourced from Israeli national institutions. This is due to the absence of the United Nations entities operating in Israel because they were prohibited, because Israel said the UN was an anti-Semitic agency, as well as the lack of cooperation by the state of Israel with relevant United Nations bodies with an investigative mandate. Nevertheless, we took every step in line with UN methodology. Well, now you've just completely discredited that.
Did you?
To mitigate.
Yeah. Did you?
Yeah. So now the UN comes forward and says, well, there is credible rape. It does look like rape was used. And again, as people have said in the chat, as we've all been saying all along, even if there were some rapes, which there might have been, whether they were by Hamas or not, who knows, not a systematic weapon of war. And even if it were a systematic weapon of war, does not justify a genocide. So, like,
which is the entire purpose of that emotional piece, because it allows people to not investigate further. They can just land on that. Their brain is naturally wired to land on the atrocities against these people. So you understand, even if Israel is over responding, well, that thing hits a core of my brain that's just like, holy fuck, that's evil. These are evil people. That was an evil act, you know? So it just it glosses over. It causes people to not investigate further and accept something, because if you want to pick a team, and in the U.S. everything's about picking a team.
Right.
You got to be on Team Israel. You got to be on Team Palestine. And shit, what they did on Israel, what they did to Israel on 10/7 was so vile that I'm stuck on that team. And that's how our politics and news media works.
Yeah. And so, okay. So obviously that shows that was not, and I know we really have to wrap this up, but Zai Squirrel has done such great work on this. I want to know who this person is, because I've been following this account for years, but like truly this has been incredible investigative reporting and like really piecing everything together. But now that the UN comes out with this sort of like fake, sanctioning of the report about widespread rape, the same nephew who was a food blogger before he wrote this, propaganda piece is now using that UN new information, which it's not, but new report, to now say, Israel says vindication in UN's report. I mean, it is just, once again, like it's the same group of people laundering each piece of information and then citing each other back to each other.
Yeah. And there's no accountability for, of all media outlets, the New York Times is unaccountable for this. So we have to get people to unsubscribe. Like, they need to pay the price to this. Like, people within the New York Times.
Sorry. The one thing they're doing is looking into all of their Arab American and Muslim American writers to try to find out who leaked this. That's what they're looking at.
That's exactly. They're doing the opposite. And the obvious thing about the UN is, like, The UN was started by the U.S. to, when the UN people themselves kind of want to investigate this stuff, and we're not letting our own institution who wants to investigate this stuff, and just blanket believing Israel on all of it.
Yeah, it's not. And as somebody said, I think Mr. Jesco, and thank you, Oz. Thank you. Just because if I don't do this now and I see how late we are, I will forget. And thank you to Reflect the Sun. You guys are all amazing. Thank you. Thank you guys so much. Sorry. Pat and I are now doing the same buttons together. Okay, wait. I'm going to not push anything.
On this part of it. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah. Thank you guys. Amazing. Sorry. Now I totally forgot. Why did I do that? Sorry. Too many shots, Pat.
But
the rape.
Okay, Israel, we've got a long time to talk about this. We could go into it forever, but I mean, just to hit some of the atrocities, they're literally testing those robot dogs we keep hearing about in Israel right now. We've got them appropriating all this land illegally.
Oh my God. And they're selling it from the U.S.
Yeah.
Like at temples in the U.S., they are selling, it is illegal. They're only selling it to Jewish people, stolen land. It's like two different crimes.
All right. So it's hard to end this topic on something positive, but kudos to The Weeknd. First singer and celebrity to donate $2.5 million to humanitarian aid in Gaza. This was like 2 weeks ago.
4 million meals.
5 days
the
ago.
U.S. government, what'd you say?
I thought this was 2 weeks ago, but no, it was just 5 days ago, apparently.
Well, I don't know when he actually did, but but he's donating 4 million meals. The U.S. government did 38,000, which was basically just a trap to then, I mean, I don't know how this is getting to them. I don't know exactly how it works, but like, how is it possible that the U.S. government gave 38,000 meals to 2 million people who are starving? Anyway, one thing, and I know this is controversial to some people, but I really think it bears repeating. Norman Finkelstein, right after 10/7, sort of came out in praise of Hamas as a liberation movement. And he said, yeah, there were atrocities and that's horrific, but this was a political expression. You cannot keep people in cages and not expect them to fight for their freedom. And I do think it is interesting who is termed a terrorist. The UN, and now, of course, I'm not going to be able to find it, and I wanted to have his exact wording. But anyway, the UN does not consider Hamas a terrorist organization. They consider them. Why can't I find my files?
I'll hunt for it while you go.
They consider them.
Say something important.
A liberation movement. And I think it's really, listen. No civilians deserve to be murdered. There's so many questions about exactly what happened on 10/7 and who caused which deaths. But I also think, looking at the history of Israel and how it has treated Palestinians for 75 years, what do you expect is going to happen? And even now, would they say we've got to finish the job? We've got to get rid of Hamas. You're never getting rid of Hamas through military action. If you want people not to, want to kill you, then you have to give them dignity and rights to the freedoms that we all enjoy or should enjoy.
Yeah, it's fucked. But what can we do? We can support all the aid calls we can. Call your congressman, call your congresswomen, write the senators, raise hell, get in front of any public speaking event you can. Be as proudly pro-Palestine as you possibly can, anywhere you can.
And do not give these monsters a second of peace. I love, maybe we will just, boycott.
Boycott the shit out of these companies supporting them. I mean, there's, Starbucks is taking a big financial hit. It's actually impacting their bottom line. McDonald's, the same thing. Both those groups have come out publicly saying that the Israeli war is costing them money. The war is costing Israel money a lot.
That's right. I think they've taken a 20% constriction in their GDP.
Yeah. So, I mean, financially, we need to hurt them. That's all that matters to politicians, countries, anything.
Yeah.
It's money. Make it about the money.
Yeah.
All right. Speaking of money, should we get on to our economies? We'll
oh wow, really? We're gonna really. It's.
Oh, do you want to?
No,
but I mean the economy.
No. I mean they're nixing the economy. No, we can. You want to rifle through it really fast? We can go through it fast. Let's go through it fast.
Oh, but we're still gonna do a timeline cleanse.
Oh shit! All right, we better really go. We're at 2 hours. Let's go.
We're gonna crack through this.
Oh, I gotta do it. All right.
We'll have you out of here and then.
Yeah, baby.
Oh, that's your favorite. All right.
Okay.
I'm
so we'll just do
it.
Oh,
yeah.
That's all good. Dogs. We'll see some dogs.
All
we
right.
always
Let's
highlight
do
the
some
cats. So
dogs.
here's a little.
All right.
We can decompress a little bit. Lovely eyes there. All right.
That's pretty cute. That's
cute. Adorable. Lila found that one. That was Lila.
Oh, we're gonna do that now. Now I'm scared. Now, if it's a bad one, you're gonna be like, oh.
No, that was a good one.
It's a team effort. It's always a team effort. We find everything together.
Yeah, of course.
The economy is bustling along. Americans now owe 1.13 trillion on their credit cards. I have to say, I am doing my part. We are in such wild credit card debt. It is terrifying. Don't know where the next paycheck's coming from.
So what you're saying, all I hear out of that is you bragging about having credit.
I mean,
because
yeah,
I owe so much money in student loans that I cannot wait to leave this country. But
yeah, it's gnarly.
Wait,
all
Cora
right.
says have Dave Anthony on. He's on the list.
He is. He's one of our guys.
Dave's gonna come on at some point. We're working on it.
All right, let's just because this, everything always leads back to money and war. This was the new announcement, which is just amazing because, worried about Trump and DeSantis sending the National Guard in to take care of things. Governor Hochul just put 1,000 new police and National Guard into the subways to randomly check people's bags. And you know what's going to happen with random checks? It's going to be black and brown people for sure. And then the other thing was to prohibit anybody who's ever had a violent crime on the subway from being able to ride mass transit again.
And I do want to remind people that the National Guard is legally prohibited against being used against your own people. Like, it's literally part of the National Guard to only be used for external threats. Like, so they're justifying this as like, we're going to catch, terrorists somehow or something. But like, meanwhile, everyone in New York constantly is posting videos of the cops just on their phones the entire time or harassing people for no reason. There's no justification for this other than Democrats are trying to run on tougher on crime than the Republicans.
Yeah, they're going to out MAGA the MAGAs. Another reminder is that the George Floyd bill
which Democrats are trying to push hard. They're using the death of George Floyd, which amplified the Black Lives Matter movement, and really spoke to how the nation felt about policing, to give the police more money. Like, that's the George Floyd Act. More money for cops.
It is truly vile to see people like, what is going to happen? More guns on the subway, National Guard with their rifles there, checking people's bags. That is a recipe for crazy disaster. It is just, they are just stripping away every single liberty. And then they're going to say, oh, you got to vote for us. Democracy's on the ballot, knowing that probably Trump's going to win and is going to have this. They're just like setting whatever on a silver platter, this fascism and the control of military and cops over all of our lives, protesters.
And a lot of the election side of things is on this culture war stuff about books, being banned in Republican states, which is vile. It's disgusting, banning books that are just like, hey, there's a gay person in our book. Well, we gotta ban that book. But meanwhile, New York, they're spending all this money on on literally machine guns being on our subways in New York, and they're not financing libraries. We're cutting libraries in New York at the same time.
Libraries, school. All of it.
Libraries. I'm sorry, but if you're going to ban all these books and things, and if that's where we're going, libraries are a safe space for the public, and libraries do so much good. I wish we had a clip of that library dude. What's that guy's name?
Oh, he's so great. I know. And he just said he had to take a mental health break.
Yeah. And that guy, I just learned like 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, whenever he said he's quitting, he's a librarian in my hometown.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I hope he comes back. He's such a pure heart.
Yeah. And he's going to Congress to say, he's speaking before the Senate or the House. I don't know, somebody to, hype up libraries. But anyway, we digress. The economy, libraries closed. Here's our economy.
Boeing wants to pay technical and safety pilots 29% less than the corporate pilots who chauffeur company executives. The technical pilots say it's the latest example of Boeing's dire safety culture problem. They're demanding equal pay. Their contract expires Wednesday.
We just rifle through. She's killing it. She is killing it. If you have money, honestly, go find there are a couple sites now following stock trades by politicians. And honestly, I don't know how you could lose, except you'd have to probably invest in the evil corporations they're going to invest in.
Yeah, it's all going to be like military industrial shit. But
they're killing it. They're
spyware.
Killing it.
All right, but we do have a couple of good moments. We've got Oregon is moving to stop private equity from owning doctors' offices. A bill to end corporate-owned medical practices has passed Oregon's Senate Health Committee and the Oregon House, which is great. Of course, we still need it for hospitals and nursing homes and all of that. But, the more we sort of chip away at private equity and huge monopolies, the better. And it's the one thing Biden is repugnant. He stopped a railway strike.
Are you going to say something positive about Biden?
I'm just going to say that
Go ahead.
The NLRB has been doing some good work under him. And that is the one place where I could see things getting worse with Trump. That's all.
I can see a lot getting worse. Don't get me wrong, but a lot. You have to balance that out with how many things are worse with Biden.
Yeah, no. Listen, I'm not voting for either one of those people ever, but I do that is his labor board. Whatever. He has no idea what's happening, but I'm surprised that they're allowing these things to happen. I think the Kroger's Albertsons merger is the next thing that they're suing to prevent from happening. So we will have.
And I think, and we were talking about this before the show and we didn't have time to Google it, but I think last week they shot down that merger already. I think that merger's already been shut down. So I don't know. Somebody fact check me.
I'm not going to
give me a W. People give me a W.
I'll see.
Give me a W. I think it got shut down.
We'll see.
Here's a positive though. We have one real positive to end on.
Okay.
Because unions are doing good work and people fighting for them are doing good work. The first unionized college athletes in the country. A precedent that could change college sports is from Dartmouth.
Dartmouth. I'm saying it.
People say it, Lila.
Why are you saying you don't know? I'm telling you, Dartmouth. Yeah, that's how. Oh yeah.
I don't know. In my clique
Loser says
here,
what? Loser says what?
In Sacramento, we just say Dartmouth.
Okay. But yes, because they bring in a lot of money for the college, they work really hard. D1 sports, especially, that's a full-time job when you're there, and that's great that they are unionizing. That is very impressive. All right, it's 2 hours and 6 minutes. You lovely people have joined us. We are so grateful. We're excited. Next week, we're going to be welcoming on the Socialist Equality Party presidential
SEP,
ticket.
baby.
So
let's go.
Excited to see you all there. Make these people's lives unlivable. What they did to Gillibrand and Dr. Jill Biden and Adam Schiff and AOC. Keep doing it. Cheers to all you guys.
We skipped that clip because you guys have probably already seen it, but give them hell. No peace, bitch was our title last week. And let's go.
Keep punching up, everybody. We'll see you next week. Thanks.
ومشيت تحت الشتاء والشتاء